You talk about a Texas institution. It's Dotty Griffith. Not only because she served as a food critic for the Dallas Morning News, but her cookbooks are published and sold all over the country, and this is her newest one. It's called the Texas Holiday Cookbook, and it is filled with the most amazing recipes, not only those that she has compiled, but she's been given recipes from all the great Texas chefs. So, Dotty, I got to ask you a question, because I've never gotten to sit down with you one-on-one.
Okay.
What's the first kitchen you ever cooked in when you were growing up?
My mother's.
And what was that kitchen like?
Well, it was a very 1950s kitchen, just like all kitchens were back then. You know, it was like if you wanted something chopped, you got out a knife and a board. You know, if you want something stirred up, okay, you got out the old mixer maybe.
That's right.
But it was, you know, I'm pretty sure there was an avocado stove in there too, you know?
There probably was. And what kind of stove would it have been?
A General Electric.
Something like that.
Yeah, you know.
And so through the years, your kitchens have changed.
Oh, yeah.
But do you still get out the board and chop with a knife, or do you use the food processor?
Depends.
I know.
Depends on how I want it done and how much to do. You know, if you don't want the onions to be soggy, you do it by hand. If you just want them fast, you do it in the food processor.
When did you know that you were really good at that? That you were really good at cooking and that you could make a living doing it? At what point, what was the change in your...
I always knew I loved it, and I knew I had a knack for it. When I was, you know, a young cub reporter at the Morning News, I would bring chili on the weekends, and Frank Talbert once told me I made good chili, which at the time was a high compliment. You know, he was the king of chili.
It's still a high compliment.
That's right. And so then when I was offered the position as food editor, you know, I'd always thought, you know, I'd be the next Woodward and Bernstein. But I thought about it, and I went, you know, a lot more people eat than vote. And so I'd been covering politics. I jumped into the food beat and never looked back.
And 30 years, you were the food critic. And
well, I was the food editor first, and then I was the restaurant critic.
All right. So when that job went away, as they all do, you know, we all just know that we don't know how long our run will be.
Right.
But we ride the wave as long as we can do it. Then what did you say? What did you think? Okay, where can I put my energies next? And is it purely in cookbooks, or what else are you doing?
Well, I'm, you know, like everybody, starting to learn all the new platforms, blogging, all the social media. Also looking at a little speaking. I love to do that. You're an inspiration for me on that.
Oh, but the blogging.
You know,
how do you get people to come to your blog?
Good question. I'm trying to find that out.
Well, you need to ask Courtney Kerr.
Okay, I'll get a quick lesson from Courtney.
She's got 45,000 people that go to her blog every day. So
more than that.
Now, how many?
Twitter.
How many?
We'll talk about that later.
You have 45,000 Twitter people?
Amazing.
Tweaking.
Way to go, Courtney.
Anyway, I love this book, and I wanted to talk about the dedication that you wrote. You said, the book is dedicated to my brilliant and bold son and daughter, Kelly Griffith Stevenson and Caitlin Lee Stevenson. I love cooking and eating with them. So are they chefs like you?
No, they're both lawyers. But
oh,
they
you're
both
kidding. They love to cook?
Yes, my son started out at a very early age, loved to play in the kitchen. My daughter was a food rebel. She didn't want to eat anything that the rest of us were eating, so we could all make an extra meal for her. But as she got into college, she went to school in the Midwest where green Jell-O is a vegetable.
Yes.
And she knew so much more about food than the rest of them just because she'd grown up around it. She just got into it too, and it became a little power base for her.
So this is really a joy. Well, you're a force. I'll tell you, in the food industry in Texas, whatever you do, we're going to grab on and follow you because we just love what you do. But you're going to come back in a minute next, and we're going to have some whomped up mashed potatoes.
Really whomped up.
Do we get to
mashed
eat them
potatoes.
here?
Absolutely.
Okay, stick around, because up next, when it comes to the holidays, there are certain Christmas traditions that can't be forgotten. But you can also add new ones along the way, and our in-house decorator, Gary Riggs, has these for you. So stay with us. We'll have Gary Riggs, and then we will have later on Dotty back to fix some food.